Hey y'all, it's Betsy with Happily Ever After Etc. and welcome back to another garden video. Today we are working on a bit of fall maintenance. It is quite late in the season. We literally had our first 35-degree night last night for us. I know that happens a lot sooner for a lot of people in different climates. We are down in lower Alabama. We are pretty borderline tropical and we only get one or two frosts or freezes. We really never get freezes. We only get one or two frosts even a season. And since I was just on a very long, month-long trip, I came back from, the whole garden has been a bit neglected. So as you saw, I did start by using my leaf blower to clear the path because the leaves have all been coming down. I typically leave the leaves in the garden until spring because they help just provide cover and warmth for the plants and any bugs that are overwintering, the good bugs. Of course, we don't love bad bugs, but kind of is what it is. And so I'll leave them on the lawn and the garden, and I'm just going to clear off the paths that I used to walk on. And then in the spring, we'll do a big leaf removal of all the leaves we do not need. So for today, my goal was to leaf blow the path, deadhead the mums, which I did these two first because I figured they'd fall on the ground and then leaf blow them out of here. I do have some other ones in the garden I would like to deadhead. The only things we're really deadheading are mums or other cold weather plants that can handle it, or plants like this lantana I could technically deadhead today because it is a perennial. It needs to be brought all the way back, like a rejuvenation prune almost, to be dormant for next year, and it will come back for us as long as we don't freeze multiple times, which, knock on wood, we usually don't. Things like this verbena we could clean up. These are kind of the things that if I don't cut the lantana back today, I can do it later. You can see where she's already getting crunchy from the one night of cold that we got. She will die back on her own and then just be sticks. And at that point, that will probably be easier for me to deadhead. So things like that, the bigger things that will die back on their own, I will probably wait because it's already almost 4 in the afternoon, and go through and shear back to the ground once they have died for sure all the way back. So we're going to focus more on just deadheading things like the mums that can handle it, and a couple things like not all the hydrangeas, because hydrangeas, a lot of them produce their blooms on old wood, which means you don't want to cut off any buds for next season. We just always want to cut off the old blooms to tidy up the plant and make room for next season. And I do that throughout the season as the blooms go out, but I like to do that now in the fall. That way next spring I don't need to guess about where to cut my plant. I'll let it bloom and leaf out, and then if there's anything that died over the winter, I'll cut that out. But for the most part, I just need to cut the old blooms off of these type of plants. I literally had pink, beautiful blooms on this plant yesterday. They just can't make it through the cold. That's okay. I'm also going to go ahead and cut out any plants like these zinnias that are just absolutely 100% gone. I don't even think there's any seeds left on this baby. I think the seeds have already dispersed into the garden bed, which these are zinnias I planted 3 years ago, and that self-seeded many years over by now, in just random places. So every year when they come up, I leave the ones I like, the places they're in. The ones I don't like, I pull out. And they're just fun, free plants. Sometimes I like stuff like that. Sometimes I want plants in specific places. So we go ahead and put y'all on fast forward, like when we were leaf blowing, and I'm going to get to work. If we can get through all the deadheading, I have a few potatoes left to harvest, and I would like to get my dahlia tubers out of the garden so that hopefully they will not die and I can use them again next year. So I did bring a basket and some bags. Ideally with things like the dahlia tubers, I'll bring them inside, let them dry out, cut out any rotten portions, and then I'll store them in a clean, dry place until next season. So this is not going to be a specific, how to do that kind of video, because honestly, this is the first year doing it with more than one tuber. So I'm still learning, but we just got to get through all that kind of stuff so that those things don't die. Let's get to work. I also do like to take this time to collect any seeds that are still available. These white cornflowers have quite a few seeds left on the plants, and I would like to plant more of them next year. So I collected all the seeds that were available, and then any of these purely black heads where the seeds have already fallen, I left because the birds do like to take these for nests and other things. Why not? Plus, one more tip. I try to collect all my plant stakes that are around in the garden for next spring. Now, well, they're easy to spot. All right, everything is looking better. Do think I will end up taking this lantana out when I plant the pansies. I have a whole bunch of pansies that I will probably put up here since it looks to be the most empty place. For some reason, all my muscari has already started coming in here, but you can see I've cut back the mums, cut back the salvia, pulled up some weeds. Probably have more weeds, but there's my weed bucket. Just gave all the mums a haircut. In the spring, I will probably have to cut the mums back a lot further. Mums are perennials for us here in our zone, at least. Maybe not perennials is the right word, tender perennials, where for the most part they do come back We lose maybe 1 or 2 of 10 in a season, and they will bloom for us twice a year. So when spring comes around, if they have died back, I will cut them back to the green and then watch them come up and rebloom for us in the new season. Some of the perennials like the salvia and the lantana I was just showing you, you can see that the cold has pretty much got these top layers, but down at the bottom there is still green. These are unplugged pink salvia by Proven Winners, and they have come back for me for 2 years. So they are also a tender perennial in our zone, meaning they're not going to come back in a colder climate, but for us they do come back pretty reliably. I typically leave this, even though it's not as pretty, with a decent layer of leaves around the base. The longer stems and the leaves do help insulate the plants a little bit for the winter when I'm trying to protect them from the cold. And then I'll just cut them back to the green in the spring. But anything that's annual or will come back from the ground, like the coneflowers, I cut out all the bad parts of the coneflowers. You can see my bee balm. As always, it can get pretty invasive. This is all the little babies from, I put 2 bee balm plants here 2 years ago, and it is trying to take over. But from here over, I have a rose. I have 3 Gara plants. I have some lamb's ear, that's a ground cover. And then I just let the bee balm and the coneflowers that drop seeds grow wherever they want to grow in a giant wild mess of beautiful purple. And I like how it looks. So there you go. We do have more lantana that will need to be cut back and milkweed. But all of my annuals and the actual raised beds got cut back. I saved, you might have seen, a bunch of the zinnias here to collect seeds from. I did harvest all of my potatoes, sweet potatoes, and I pulled up my dahlia tubers. They looked good, so I will go ahead and put those in some paper to save inside. But everything looks clear. The last thing I need to do is bring the last of my watermelons inside and cut them open to see if they are actually any good. My strawberry plants are still trying very hard to be strawberries. And we'll keep filling out this bed. But so far, things are looking good for fall. And I think we're at the point where everything is pretty much put to sleep for the season. I will probably come through and cut back some of the things like the lantana where I want to plant pansies, and the rest I will leave for a big spring cleanup. You may have noticed I already put 3 of the 4 chairs away and my umbrella for the season, so I got to get that last one in, and we're going to call it good. I have a few more things I'd like to do as the season goes on. For example, in January, we'll go through and cut back all my roses and get them ready for the new season, but I don't necessarily need to do that now. In fact, one of my David Austin roses is still blooming. But I'm going to bring y'all inside and show you my sweet potato harvest, late season harvest. I was supposed to harvest these 2 months ago, but I was on my month-long cruise. So I'm just glad I got any potatoes at all. Let's go inside and I'll give you a look. All right, so our sweet potatoes definitely was the biggest harvest. They look pretty good. There are some pretty big ones in here. As you can see, I have kind of cleaned them all off and laid them out. We'll leave them for about 7 to 10 days to dry and cure, and then we'll store them for eating. Our tiny red Northern potatoes are the smallest, most pointless group. I had more seed potatoes than this. And the Yukon Golds are okay. Probably about as many as I planted. So it's a wash. But definitely got more of these than anything else. I planted a few of these little plants that were starts as opposed to seed potatoes. And they definitely did better. So I don't have a cool, dark place, which is ideal for curing these. So they are on my kitchen island. I cover them with towels because they do need to be dark to cure properly. And after they are all set and all of the, places I took them off the vine are healed over, we will store them for the winter. And that is it for cleaning up the garden today. I hope you had a good time. I know I got a lot done, even if there's always more to do in the garden. And I will see you in the next video. Dogs, say bye.